You. Thank you. Out loud applause. Oh my goodness. If we have any first timers on here, you know why I adore these people and why they were going to be at my ordination. They're going to be at my ordination when we have this party in person and when we can hug each other, and we'll just continue on from this weekend, just going forward. So, thank you, my dear. Thank you. They will both be playing a few more songs later on. So, anyway, you want to say anything else, Amy? Y'all good?
I muted myself.
Oh,
I had to unmute myself. I mean, just that this is also weird and also beautiful because some of the things like this right now. I mean, we would have been meeting in real life, but still, even if this wasn't about your installment, I have a sneaking suspicion that in quarantine we would be gathering together to make music and spiritual expression because that's we magnetize toward our people, and you guys are my people. So I just love you, and I just honor our Donna up there doing that crazy work up there.
yes.
So we just surround you in so much love. All right, I'm gonna cry, so I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna give back to you, but I love y'all.
So, you don't let me cry some. Okay. Am I on mute? No, I'm not on mute. I'm live. Okay. So, time for me to speak. And if you were with us last week, last week was Easter Sunday. And I have this whole series going. I started out calling it Masters, Mystics, and Paths of Enlightenment. And it kind of evolved. It's now called Rising Above the BS, aka belief systems that have kept you sick, scared, and otherwise playing small. And so we've been examining that, and that's what we'll be talking about throughout the year, because that's really what enlightenment is. It is releasing all of the beliefs and all of the things that really no longer serve us. So let me see here. Gallery view, speaker view. Okay, we're still on Amy. I don't know what you all are seeing. You're seeing me? Perfect. All right. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. So yes, rising above the BS that has kept us small and scared and all that other kind of negative connotation stuff. Now, belief systems aren't always bad. If your belief system serves you, then by all means, go on and believe it, because we're all making it up as we go along anyway. So last week was Easter Sunday, and though we're not really a Christian tradition, most of us come from that background, and that's what I am most familiar with. And so we all have probably a connection of some sort to Easter, but I wanted to give it a different spin. And in most churches, they're probably talking about the resurrection because that's what Easter is about. That's what the Christian faith was founded on, is the resurrection. But I took it in a different route, and what I wanted to speak about, or what I spoke about, was the idea that there is no resurrection without the betrayal and the crucifixion. And so we talked about that, talked about the betrayal, and you can't get to a certain age, I don't think, without experiencing that in some way or another. All of us have been betrayed, but we've also been the betrayers. And then we took it from the big macro picture and brought it back to the personal picture. So, a lot of us, I don't care which side of the political spectrum you're on, you probably think that your Judas is in Washington somewhere, either in the White House or in Congress. I think we all have that kind of sense. So, but we don't have a whole lot of control over that. Then you bring it back a little bit closer, and we have those experiences with our loved ones and with business partners and friends and family and all, where there have been those betrayals. And we have undoubtedly been somebody else's Judas, whether it was intentional or not. That's probably how they may have taken your desire to not go into the family business, or to marry whoever you wanted, or to come out, and not give your parents grandchildren, or whatever your thing was. We all have that. But even that's not the worst of the betrayals. We bring it back in another level, and I spoke about how when we betray ourselves, that is the deepest, and that is the worst, and that's the most painful thing, is when we don't show up in our truth and who we really are and who we know ourselves to be. And so, we teach what we want to learn, right? And so I'll share with you what happened with me this week. And y'all don't be judging me, because I know some of you have this little situation that I have, like on lock, and you don't no longer deal with this, but you probably got something else. So I hope you can take this message and apply it into your own life. But this week was a super crazy week, I think, in the political realm. I don't know about you all, but I'm going like this, this kind of roller coaster. And sometimes I'm really great and feeling good and in my power. And then I dip down. And so I dipped down a little bit. And I got caught up in some stuff again on Facebook, which happens from time to time. And I posted something that I thought was not political. I just thought it was a statement. And somebody jumped in and it became political. And we went back and forth, and he put his 2 cents, and then I answered. And he put another thing in, and then I answered. And I let it go on, because there is a part of me that really, really, truly wants to understand the other side. I have strong views, and if y'all know me, you know what they are. I don't need to go there. But, I'm not a fan of the present administration. That's just, I'm going with some radical honesty here. I know some ministers will say, you don't share that much about your personal life, but you know what? You probably all know that already anyway. And I don't want to, if you're on the other side of the spectrum, please hang with me for a little bit, because I'm going to turn it around, all right? I'm just telling you that is my truth. That's where I am at the moment. And so I'm seeing all of this craziness, and this guy is on the other side, and he's talking his points, and I'm talking my points, and he's talking his, and I'm talking mine. And I just want to understand. And so I kept inviting, I kept inviting him, and he kept on adding his evidence. And I was like, bring it on. I don't know if you all get to that place, but it was like, bring it on. Okay. And he did. And then I went in for the kill. It was like, bam. And I have to tell you the truth, it felt really good for a little while to like put him in his place. Because for years, when I would come up against something like that, my MO was to run or like freeze you out. And so I've gotten to the point where I don't really put up with it anymore. And truthfully, you know that all of that stuff comes from fear, right? When we get into a place of fear, we go into fight, flight, and freeze. And I went into fight mode. And I was trying to be respectful, so I'm not using bad language. I'm just, being, in my high and mighty place of what he should be believing. Anyway, I did the boom thing, shut him down, and it felt really, really good for about 2 seconds. And then I felt really, really bad. I was thinking, what did I just do? And my heart rate's up, and I'm feeling really like I betrayed myself, I'm a minister, for God's sakes. I'm love and light. How could I be even taking any pleasure out of putting this guy in his place and feeling this way? And I don't like to feel this way. God, please take this off of me. And I stayed up and I journaled, and 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, God, I want to reach out to people. I want to understand. I want to get over this. I don't want to feel this horrible feeling that I'm feeling. And I never did really come to resolution that night. That night was all about the crucifixion. Like, you're not supposed to do this. And what kind of example are you? And all of that stuff. And meanwhile, just praying, show me another way. So I wake up the next morning, and still not sure what I'm going to say, because I want to put something on Facebook and some kind of apology, but also an invitation for people from the other side to just speak their truth. Because there's something that I know from peace building, I know this from spiritual work, I know this, that once you know somebody's story, once you know where they're coming from, once you can walk in their shoes, you can't hate them. You can't hate that, and I really want to know. So I get online, after this time I didn't go right to the social media. I didn't check the news. Instead, I did my spiritual practice, and I was in a really good place. And then I checked my social media, and I just have to share with you this thing that showed up. Now, I'm not sure when this was after the election in 2016, but I kind of had an inkling back then that whatever was going to come was probably not going to be so good. In fact, I probably cried for at least 3 days. That's not an exaggeration. I was so distraught with what was going on in our country and the divisiveness and all of that. And so anyway, I went online and checked my Facebook, and I had where people are replying to your messages and stuff, and somehow magically this message popped up on my feed from November 9th of 2016 from someone I don't even know. I checked her out, like she lives in Ohio. I don't know her, she doesn't know me. She liked it and somehow it popped up on my page. So let me show you what this thing says, because it's pretty mind-blowing. Ooh, I don't want to do that. Don't want to minimize. Okay. Let me just find it. And then I'm going to share my page with you, so bear with me for a moment. I think it is here. Share my screen. That's not exactly right either. That's not the screen I want you to see. Let's go here. Stop share. Hang on a second. Ah, here we go. All right, now I'm going to share my screen with you. Check this out. So November 9th, 2016. As my tears flow for our country, I keep searching for higher truth. The Serenity Prayer says, wisdom is knowing the difference between that which is in our control and that which is not. Taking responsibility for changing what is in our control is an act of courage. Today, I step out in courage and faith, and I take responsibility for what is mine to do. I affirm that regardless of circumstance, I must stand for kindness, respect, and inclusivity. I refuse to allow myself to be drawn into fear and negativity. Instead, I will continue to shine the light of compassion, acceptance, and truth so that all may see their reflection in me. Only love can conquer hate. Be a stand. It was incredible to get a message from myself of exactly what I needed to hear. My husband said, well, you needed to hear a message from someone you trusted. And there it was. Who knew I was writing a message for myself, 3.5 years later, and finding myself in the same place and realizing that I am a stand for love. I am a stand for kindness and truth and inclusivity. And that's what I want to bring to everything in my life. And so I had another conversation going with a relative from extended family, someone I actually don't really even know her all that well. And I noticed from her posts, she's a young woman, she's a mom, she's a wife, she's a little feisty. I see some of myself in her. Anyway, she had some posts there, and I was looking and thinking, like, she's really for that. Like, I was kind of mystified, like, how is that possible? So I engaged this conversation a little bit more. And, she starts putting some political stuff that's, anti whatever. And, so I'm answering back again, and she's putting her research out there, and I'm answering. And all of a sudden I realized, you know what? She's making some good points, but it's not changing my mind. And you know what? I think I have some good points too. And I'm sure it's not changing her mind. And on top of that, who am I to say what somebody else should be believing or not believing? Like, is that really my business, right? We all get one vote. Every one of us gets one vote. You know, I don't know how many of you know the work of a woman named Byron Katie. She does this, it's called The Work, actually, and what she does is have you really examine these things, these beliefs that you have. And there's an exercise that she uses that I really love, and I use it with people when I'm counseling with them, and it's called the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And what you do with this worksheet is you write down all of those judgments, all that negativity, whatever it is, like this person shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that, and you write it all out and you just put all your judgment out there. And then she takes it to a series of questions where you're finally flipping it around. And how do you know it shouldn't be like that? Do you really know that? And I have to think, do I really know that things aren't the way they should be? That's kind of a crazy thought, isn't it? You know, things are the way, everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, right, Amy? I'm where I need to be, exactly where I need to be. You know, and if we believe what we say we believe, right, that there is this higher power, this spirit, this universe, whatever it is that you want to call it, that lives and breathes and moves through each one of us. And, you know, the question I posed last week is, do you believe, as Einstein said, the most important thing is, do you believe that we live in a friendly universe or a hostile universe? You know, and I preach it in my heart of hearts. I believe that we live in a friendly universe. So where am I coming from with all of this fear and all of this anxiety? And, you know, things are the way they need to be. And so who am I to tell somebody what they should believe or they shouldn't believe or how they should vote, or thinking that I need to have some kind of influence on that? That ain't none of my business. It's none of your business either. I mean, unless, you know, you have Donald Trump's ear, or you know somebody in Congress or whatever it is, we don't have any control over any of that. And when you come right down to it, you know, all we have control over is our own thoughts and our own beliefs and how we show up in our circles of influence. So I wrote a nice little note to my cousin there, and just told her how brilliant she is, and thanked her for sharing, and thanked her for being my aha moment. And said, you know, maybe we need to be looking at where we want to go. Maybe we need to be together creating a vision of what it is that we want to see, and stop spinning in this negativity and this blame and this shame. Let's take the best of what we're learning and what we're experiencing through this crisis together. You know, there's so many beautiful things that are happening every moment. You know, I see all of you posting this stuff. There are people that are looking out for their neighbors. There are people that are using their gifts and their talents and to help others. I mean, why can't compassion and kindness and caring for vulnerable people and looking out for our neighbors be the norm? Let's bring that forward. Right? We know now, we can't lie to ourselves and say we don't have any control over what's happening in our environment. That's a lie. We know right now that what we do has an impact. So let's make sure that we leave a sustainable world for our kids and our grandkids and generations to come. We can do that. We know how important it is for people to have the basic necessities like food and shelter and medical care. Let's dedicate ourselves to doing that. Let's create the world that we want to see. Let's think about those things, and let's create that vision together. And how is going to show up, you know. As a minister, especially in this movement, I struggle a little bit because I never want to be in a place of spiritual bypass. And I don't know if you all know what that means, but you know, we say that it's all good, it's all God, it's all wonderful, and that is true. Ultimately, that's the truth. But when people are not in that space, you know, that doesn't sound compassionate. It doesn't sound real even. You know, there's a post that's going around that says we're not all in the same boat with this. You know, some people may say, well, we're all dealing with this crisis, we're all in the same boat. No, we're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. We're all in different boats. You know, I don't lose track of the fact that I am extremely, extremely privileged to be able to sit in my home, that I straddle that, you know, between introvert, extrovert. Y'all, I can stay living in my house like that for a long time. It wouldn't bother me. I get to see you all on Zoom, and you know, I get my moments. I get to be outside, but I'm not worried about, am I going to put food on the table? Am I going to have a place to live? I don't have those concerns, and I know that I am blessed, and I never want to forget that. And I don't want anybody, and I hope that none of you forget that either. If you're in a place where you don't have to worry about those things, that it's a blessing, and be thankful for that. But don't forget the fact that there are other people that are not in that position, that there are people right now that are having to make a decision between staying in their home and feeling healthy and just having to be out there and make a living and take care of their families. You know, and there are people that are on the front lines, as we know, that are putting their own health at risk to take care of other people. So we want to just keep all of that in mind, and let's just be real, you know, about where we are and the circumstance that we are in, but know that this is not where we're staying, right? So it's a delicate balance between acknowledging the circumstance that we are in and also looking forward to the future that we want to create. And I straddle that. And sometimes I fall. You know, it's easy for me to go to that dark place, you know, sadness, depression. That's kind of a, you know, it's a familiar place for me. So I go there sometimes. And I apologize if any of you that are watching or touched by this get somehow offended or were hurt because I went dark a little bit, because, you know, it happens once in a while. But I know that we are going to come through this. This is, you know, this has happened before, actually. And humanity is continually on an upward spiral. We are always evolving, always evolving. And sometimes when we're getting to the next level, things can look chaotic and things can be a little bit scary. But we're going to come through this. We're going to come through on the other side. And I don't want anyone to lose track of that or lose hope. That, as Amy shared in her talk this morning, you know, when the butterfly, when the caterpillar is getting ready to whatever it is, metamorphosis, goes through the metamorphosis to become a butterfly, it becomes goo. And it's the end of life for that caterpillar, but it's the beginning of a new life. And maybe that's where we're at. You know, I don't know what's going to happen in our country politically, all of that. You know, Donald Trump could have a magical epiphany. He could suddenly become a uniter instead of a divider. Or he can just show us who it is that we are and who we're not. He can lead the way for the person who is going to bring things together. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's part of the spiritual path and part of all of our growth, is to be able to be comfortable in the uncertainty and just keep holding on to our center and know the truth of who we are and where we can make the difference. I know that moods, that emotions, that what we put out there, it creates a contagion. Each one of us can create a contagion. We can create contagions of fear. I mean, fear, y'all, spreads way faster than any virus ever could. But so does love, and so does joy, and so does light. And so that's what we want to spread. And I just want to implore you, as I take the lessons myself every week. I'm not just teaching, I'm not just preaching to you, telling you something that is theoretical. I live, breathe, and work this stuff myself. And so I'm just asking you all to please keep that idea in mind, that we all create that contagion, and let's create a positive contagion. Let's put out there, put it on social media. What is the world that we want to create? Put examples of the love, put examples of people working together, put examples of people being courageous, put examples of people not just surviving but thriving, so that we can create this world that we want to see, because this is our opportunity. And so I don't know what else to say. I think that pretty much covers